scheduled to give the lecture today. I would like to give a small introduction about him. Engineer Surya Prakash sir is an eminent engineer, consultant, and a mentor who has made significant contribution to civil engineering. And he obtained his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from JNTU, Kakinada in 1986. He did MS in structures in 1990 from IIT Madras. After working for 5 years as design engineer in 1994, he established Mrs. Satyavani Projects and Consultant Private Limited. He is also the founder and mentor of Smart Infrastructure Engineering Services Trust, a dedicated trust to the civil engineering to enhance employability and employment. He was president of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India during the year 2013-15 and is founding president of Pre-Engineered Structures Society of India since 2013. And he's a fellow of Institution of Engineers and the fellow of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India and the member of ICI, etc. And he is member of expert committee appointed by Government of Andhra Pradesh from June to October 2019 to review projects of irrigation, urban development, and research and board, etc. He authored a book on design and implementation of communication towers, and he was the guest training faculty to CTI College and Engineering Staff College of India, Hyderabad, on CAD of transmission line towers. He is the chief resource person for LEAP lectures in 56 topics for Smart Infrastructure Engineering Trust. The CapFAD software developed by him won the ACCE CDC Best Software Award in 2007. He was the organizing secretary for WISE 2004 and he organized workshops on TEPSCon 2013, 14, 15, 17 and 18 and A3C 2010 and MECON 2017 and IS 456 New Vistas Seismic Design of Buildings, IS 1996, IS 1999. He was a member of the expert committee for categorization of seismic damage structures. He also participated in several international conferences and he guided projects for MTech and BTech students of engineering colleges IIT Madras, JNTU Hyderabad, NIT Warangal. He is also involved in the training of engineers. He handled several prestigious projects during the past 3 decades. Some of the projects he undertook include affordable housing, buildings like residential, commercial, office, IT, industrial hospitals, hotels, and with respect to infrastructures, roads, bridges, metro rail, runways, hangars, logistics parks, leisure theme parks, stadiums, transmission line towers, FM, TV, microwave, and cellular towers providing architecture, engineering, and project management services. The prestigious clients include Ministry of Defense, Tech Mahindra, GVK, GMR, BSNL, Idea, Airtel, Tata Saket, Manjeera, the Janapriya, Ashoka, etc. So with this great introduction, I invite Engineer Surya Prakash sir to take over the session.
Thank you, madam, for good words.
Thank you, sir.
About my introduction. I'm very happy to take part in this afternoon with the students of Amrita University and Engineering College. And it's, of course, every topic is close to my heart. And this is only closer to heart, I can say, structural steel. Because I started my career with designing steel structures, challenging steel structures. And I didn't stop with steel structures, and I started working on reinforced concrete buildings, bridges, pre-stressed concrete structures, and precast now. So God has given the opportunity to take part in all these areas, and I wish all these enthusiastic students who are participating in today's class should also aim to excel in civil engineering rather than just in structural engineering or just in steel structures. However, today I'll focus on structural steel detailing and fabrication, erection and quality, because in structural steel, more than design, analysis and design, detailing is a challenge actually. That's why I choose for steel structures detailing as the subject always. Of course, I teach design, I teach pre-unit buildings, all these subjects, but topics also I do lectures, but I feel whenever we talk about steel, it's very important to talk about detailing aimed at taking care of fabrication, erection, and quality, maintaining the quality. So these are the important aspects. So the overview of my talk today is I'll give a brief introduction and I'll talk about steel structures, and then we'll move on to the topic detailing. Engineering, which is about erection details, because when we talk about steel structures, it's not something that we do at site. We fabricate off the site in a workshop, bring those steel elements and erect them, join them on site. So engineering that method of joining, method of erection is a big subject actually. So we should understand these erection methodologies, and we should always do the detailing considering that erection. That's what I'm going to explain with all the illustrations that I am taking today, with the drawings and photographs of the works done. But you have to be alert, my dear students, because I'm going to cover about 300 slides in a matter of 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So please keep pace with me, keep noting the points, and raise your doubts at any time. You can, I hope they can ask me question anytime, madam. They can unmute and ask questions.
Yes, they can. They can ask.
That's good. So you can ask me question anytime, students, and I'll be more than happy to answer your doubts. But don't allow me to move forward if you have any doubt or if you have not understood any of my word or sentence. Okay. And next is the fabrication. Before erection, the steel we have to fabricate. As you all know, steel is a pre-rolled member, steel member, and it's more homogeneous than concrete. Actually, please understand it. If you strictly speak, this is also not homogeneous, strictly speaking. And so fabrication is a rolled section, and we fabricate because steel is available in rolled section. We cut them, we mold them, we fabricate, which I'll be sharing the details to you. And also briefly, I'll touch upon a very interesting subject of transmission towers and microwave towers, how they look. Just I'll show you. I'll not go in deep into it. I'll quickly show you some of the interesting photographs of these towers. I had the opportunity to design a tower of as tall as 213 meters in Egypt. So I will show some of the pictures of all these towers that I've done. And another opportunity I got is in India. If you have 5 lakh microwave towers across the country, 2.5 lakh towers are designed by us, our company. We designed, managed, and implemented. So that's why I documented book also, Communication Towers, Design and Implementation. And finally, quality in steel. I have developed the quality documentation that is very important, right from material inspection to fabrication, inline quality, and before dispatch, and also before on arrival, and then erection of members. So this is the overall view of my talk today. And as you all know, steel costs a lot, in fact, compared to concrete. If a cubic meter of concrete costs about 5,000 rupees, including making, pouring, compacting, and all. A steel of 1 ton costs, concrete 1 cubic meter weighs 2.5 tons approximately, and 2.5 tons is costing 5,000, means 1 ton of concrete costs 2,000 rupees, whereas steel, 1 ton of steel costs about 50,000 rupees. At the same time, we have concrete. If we are using M25 grade normally, steel we use M250 mild steel, M360 high tensile steel, M420 as super high tensile steel. So now you can imagine the ratio. So the cost is 25 times. The strength is strength is 25 to 250, 10 times. But still, because of the higher strength, 10 times strength will reduce the weight drastically. So overall, steel finds its place in economical thing, though its unit cost is more. But why I'm mentioning about unit cost today is when we detail these steel structures, we have to take care of every kg of steel. We should not waste. If we do wrong detailing, the steel could be wasted. Wrong cut length, all these things. And normally these steel rolled sections are available in fixed lengths because you have to transport. The steel is available from SAIL, from Visakhapatnam Steel Plant and Tata Steel. These are all the steel plants. Normally on the eastern side of India, we have maximum steel, Orissa, Jharkhand, and Andhra Pradesh, near border of Orissa, and Karnataka and AP border also. We have Ballari and all these places. We have a lot of steel mineral ores, and so most of the steel plants are located in these places. So you have to convert the steel ore mineral into rolled sections, and that is done in different places like Vizag, Jharkhand, and Orissa, and all these places, and of course in Kadapa also now it's coming up in a big way, and Ballari we have a lot of steel plants, and that's why you find Jindal steels in these areas. So the cut lengths are decided based on the transportation facility. 6 meters is the standard cut length that we get, and 12 meters is the longest normally we transport in India. The 12 meters length is transported by trailers. So why I'm telling all this is we have to consider this before deciding the detailing, because sometimes we may need a 6.2 meter length. So still we can change the length to 6.2 meters. We can order 6.2 meter long, because otherwise 0.2 meter short, you will be cutting unnecessarily so many pieces. So that's why we have to think of these available lengths, transportation issues, erection issues and all while detailing. So the accuracy in detailing will determine the convenience of fabrication and erection. So now as engineers, we first prepare a general arrangement drawing of the structure, and then we analyze and design considering the loads and considering the construction method. Construction loads also are important. We have to consider construction loads, and in steel, plastic analysis or progressive collapse analysis also we have to do in the design, and non-linear analysis also. Why non-linear? Because we always assume the stresses are within the elastic limit. But in the ultimate design, we are going beyond the elastic limit or the limit state of collapse and all that. So we have to consider non-linear analysis and secondary effects, P delta effect in the steel structures, and dynamic analysis, particularly when we go for structures like tall structures in steel. There we must consider the dynamic effects due to wind or earthquake. Particularly for earthquake, steel is more advantageous because of the ductility and because of the damping, inherent damping characteristics in the steel structures, because the joints that we use are all bolted or welded joint. And the steel is very ductile compared to concrete. And so we consider the design, considering all these aspects, secondary effects, non-linear effects, and plastic analysis and design, ultimate loads we consider, and you must all know that the wind loads we consider as per IS 875 2015, and we consider the earthquake loads IS 1893 2016, and IS 800 is 2007. Am I correct, madam? Latest is 2007, I think. Yeah. So IS 800, IS 801, IS 802, all these codes we have to consider as we move forward. And light gauge steel is another latest phenomenon. Earlier, the light gauge steel is used only in automobile industry, and slowly now we started adopting in buildings also. Light gauge steel, residential buildings up to G+3 we can use this light gauge steel structures. That means here we don't use the normal boards. We use the friction grip boards, which is used in automobile industry. Next is the cold formed steel. Cornell University is the pioneer in finding this method of cold formed steel. We have these rolled sections or hot rolled actually. And this is, you take a plate and bend it to any shape that you require. So this is the brief introduction about our topic today, about this steel detailing, erection, fabrication, and quality control. So what are all the types of rolled sections that we deal with? It is flats, it is the plates. Flat means 50 mm by 5 mm thick flat, and plates are something like 4 meter by 8 meter, 3 meter by 6 meter kind of plates we have. Angles, equal angles we use starting from 30 mm to up to 250 mm angles, and thickness varying from 3 mm to up to a maximum of 25 mm thick angles. And all these properties are available in steel tables. And next is the channels, which we can use it as beams. And channel angles are used for axial stress, compression or tension. And the channels are used for bending. And beams, as they say, is again primarily flexure and shear also. As the bending increases, we go for higher sections of beams. And in beams, we have light beams, junior beams, medium beams, and wide beams, heavy beams, ISLB, ISJB, ISMB, ISWB, ISHB. And beyond that, we have universal beams or parallel flange beams. We have very large sections up to 600, even 1000 deep, 1 meter deep beams. So these are all the sections that we use. And as I already explained, considering the transportation, access to the site or fabrication shop, we cut the lengths either 6 meters or 12 meters. If a truck can travel, we use 6 meters. If a trailer can travel, we go for 12 meter long, because longer the length, wastage can be minimized. So we have some software like cutting optimization software also to minimize the wastage of steel. So detailing now, we are coming to the topic. So we have modules in the structure. Sometimes we do the modular erection, like a truss. If you have seen a long span, 18 meters, 24 meters span, there we'll be using the modules of truss and erect with the erection joint on the side. So erection method determines the how to detail, So we can do the welding for one segment or module, second segment and third segment, and we join these segments on the site as we erect, lift from the ground and put the erection bolts we call. And we do the joint details bolted or welded depending on this erection method, and the cut lengths are determined in the detailing itself. When we detail the drawing, we determine the cut length, how much length we have to cut, 3 meter, 3.5 meter. And end details connection is very important. Fabrication, then galvanize. Why galvanize? Because steel has 3 disadvantages mainly. The first disadvantage is compression, buckling. Steel is not good in buckling, though it has enormous strength in tension. In compression, it buckles, L/R ratio, based on the buckling curves, and so that we have to take care. Second disadvantage is the fire rating. What is fire rating? You must be aware of World Trade Center. Luckily, because it is designed properly, the World Trade Center withstood the fire for the design fire rating. That's why people could escape. The World Trade Center was a steel structure actually. So everybody after World Trade Center, everybody is worried about fire. But I always say that if we design properly, even for the fire we can design, but we have to do the fire resistant paint called intumescent, or we can also use the vermiculate insulation, or we can also do the encasement of the steel structures, which is done normally in the high-rise building. So that is the fire. So encasing with concrete will always help in tackling both the disadvantages, fire and compression. And then we have the corrosion, third most. India, we are losing some 10 million tons of steel because of corrosion. There is a Corrosion Society of India. You can Google it. So to prevent corrosion, we have to do proper treatment of the surface, painting, or we can also do the galvanizing, zinc coating actually. So these are all the aspects we must be aware when we talk about steel structures. Handling, packing. Why packing? If you don't pack these steel elements properly while transporting, they'll be bent or damaged. Transport, erection, and then alignment methodology. When we erect the steel structures, sometimes we have done a building of length 360 meter and the tolerance allowed is 5 mm. So crane has to move accurately on this 360 meter. Imagine how you set the alignment. First is marking for the foundation, while casting the base plate and anchor bolt should not disturb. And then we must have the columns erected vertically and in plane and then aligned properly. So there is a very elaborate, it runs into 30 pages method statement. So please remember, whenever you join any company as a supervisor for steel erection, insist on these method statements from the designer or fabricator. So you must follow as an engineer as a method statement. Next is the level, alignment, fitness. That means you should not forcibly join the members, So fitness, right, tolerance and allowance and verticality and in plane. These are all the important aspects of detailing when we detail. So engineering the erection details. So we have different methods of erection. We have manual erection, that is we lift the members using the chain pulley arrangement, or direct pole we call. That means a pole with a pulley, we'll just pull the member and then start bolting and erect. That is a manual. Next method is the crane. Using the jib cranes, we have the access and maneuverability. If we have the access and maneuverability, we use these cranes because crane has to travel and it has to bring the member into the place. Next is the direct poles. Direct pole is a very convenient method, mostly used method actually. For a weights up to 2 tons, 4 tons, direct pole can be used. Beyond 4 tons, we have to go for the crane only. Weight of the member or weight of the assembly. Next, we have done very interesting erection somewhere in Karnataka of a running textile mill. We had to, while mill is running, we had to remove the, erect the new structure and remove the existing structure. It's 100 meter by 100 meters, so crane access was very difficult. So we created a ropeway for transporting the members. Very inaccessible live running mill reconstruction we did. It's a very interesting work. So we have to be innovative. Need not necessarily go with the direct pole crane and all. And make the substructures, you must be aware, you can also Google Mohali. They have done 10-story building in steel in 48 hours exactly in India, Mohali. So it is done by using the substructure concept. That means the entire floor is fabricated and assembled off-site, and this floor-wise it is brought and erected. That is the another biggest technology that is available. And erection bolts and site welding, we have to take care while doing the erection detailing. Each element fabrication detail we have to do, that is called the shop drawing, because the fabricator in the workshop, he will blindly follow the fabrication drawing, cut the length and cut the ends, edges, punch the bolts and all that. I'll show you the drawings, you will understand better. I'm taking more time initially explaining this because when I show the pictures, you can capture with what I'm. Another important thing I want to tell you is, you must make a practice to write whatever you hear. Now, whatever I'm telling, you must note. That's why I told Punima madam to inform you to keep the pen and book with you so that you will write whatever transcript, whatever I'm telling, so that it will be registered in your mind. And when I show the pictures, I'll run very fast. I'll probably cover all 250 photographs and drawing in 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Okay, be ready. So you remember all these things so that you can correlate with what I show as we move forward. And fabrication process is cutting, bolt hole punching or drilling. We can do punching up to 12 mm thick and drilling beyond 12 mm. And gauge lines, bends, end cuts, grinding, welding, and a schedule of fabrication line also. You know, there is a Tekla software in which you can schedule the whole fabrication, stacking, transportation, erection also. And each flange we will give the view and or web, you know, in case of beam. And these drawings are made in 1:10 scale. I want to tell you why I am sharing with you today. It's my 34 years graduation anniversary I'm doing with you today. And I learned all these things, whatever I'm talking in the last 20 minutes, hard way actually. Nobody trained me systematically. So whatever information I could gather in these 34 years, I'm putting and explaining to you. Imagine the advantage that you get. So please take time, focus, and understand what I'm explaining. And if you don't understand, you can always ask me. Next is the towers. As I explained, the type of towers I designed are power mic transmission towers, microwave radio towers, FM towers, lighting towers, lightning towers. You know, there is a difference. Lighting is the high mast lighting you see in the junctions of the roads, or you see the floodlights in the stadiums, cricket stadiums and all. Lightning is called security towers. You know, ISRO, if any one of you have seen the rocket launching in ISRO, there will be 120-meter tall towers which are designed. So these are lightning arresters, you know, for the very important installation of the, what is that, rocket, you know. So signaling towers, that is communication radio or internet and TV, all this, they're called signaling tower. And then you also design substations and equipment substations. So many types of steel structures are there. And I had the opportunity, God-given opportunity, to involve in all these types of structures. Now, we are into the picture mode. So please brace up your belts and be ready to take off with this picture. And this is one of the projects we did, aesthetic clubhouse erected on a boulders. You know, you see the boulders. We are not disturbed the boulders, and we designed and erected the steel structure. We used some technology called rock stitching in this. And this is a very interesting project I did. And this is the closer view of that structure, steel structure and boulders. You can see nature. We built the structure with the nature. And you can see the bent shape of this and the bent sheets and a truss, huge truss in a steel frame, you know. And the architect has used the aesthetics of this, and we designed matching his requirement. And this is another photograph of the same. And this is during construction. You can see how it looks during construction. And this is a deck slab, and this is a huge 60,000 square feet of clubhouse. And we also have a seven-storied guest house, again on the border zone, without conventional foundation. So please, and this is another recent edible oil refinery project we completed in Andhra Pradesh, in Kakinada, and this was in Hyderabad. And this is in Kakinada. We did a chimney and all these refinery structures, boiler structures and all. Mostly for these industrial structures, we prefer steel because of the convenience of erection and flexibility in planning and design. So these are the other photos of these steel structures. Here you can see the bracings, the steel bracings. We have X bracings, and this is a diamond here. And normally we have two types of structures. You know, you have a framed structure. In a framed structure, please, this what I'm telling now is very important point which many people mistake or do error, and failures happen. This is very, very important. Please note. So here, this beam connection with the column, we have to detail as a moment connection. Otherwise, you can see a portal with the 4 hinges is unstable. You all know. You can't even analyze. So either you have to introduce the bracings, or you have to design it as a what you call moment connection. And here you can see the bracket. This is a strut, and this is a tie and strut model. So in steel structures, you can understand, if you know the method of joints, if you know the method of sections, you'll be able to analyze very easily. In fact, it is very accurate. Even computer, you do all the analysis, everything, you get the same forces. So I can predict analyze the forces very quickly. And this is a pre-engineered building structures. You know why we call it pre-engineered is, here we don't use the direct rolled sections. They're all built up sections. So here we have the columns and rafter, and the rafter you can see the tapering section, and here it is a rigid joint, and here sometimes we make hinged or fixed depending on the soil condition. When you have the weak soils, we go for the hinged condition because we don't transfer the movement to the foundation because it will be uneconomical. Whereas the structure we can make it rigid joint, and here it is hinged, and here it is a rigid joint again. That's why the section of the member can be designed according to the force or flexural force that we are getting in the member. And this is a battened column. You can see in your steel subject, you have the battened column, and this is the rolled beam, and this is a battened column. Normally we use 2 channels and put the plates, batten plates. And we also have laced columns. I'll show you as we move forward. And this is a bracing, X bracing. Okay, these are all the brace structure, and you can see the plan bracings also to prevent the torsion. We have to, because we need the torsion resistance, means again we don't have the moment joint in the torsion plane, or if we are not having diaphragm, that is concrete. Here it is not a concrete, you can see. So that's why we put the plan bracings in this. And this is a normal floor with beams and a deck sheet. This is a GI deck sheet. We put the concrete on top of it. It's a column, beam, and the rafters, sub beams. And you can see these are tapered again, castellated sections. We have the simply supported design. So we have the maximum movement. So we have put the tapered section and maximum movement here, section depth here. You can see the varying depth. So at the support only shear we design. We don't transfer the movement to the web. Whenever you are connecting to the web of the beam, you can't transfer the movement. Web is primarily a shear member, you know, and flanges are axial tension and compression. So that's the beam actually. Any beam will have how many forces? Axial force, shear force 2 in the second plane, and you have the flexure in the primary plane, flexure in the secondary plane, and torsion. In the open sections, because torsion is negligible, it can't resist. So we cannot transfer the torsion, and as per the code, any compatible torsion you can ignore actually. That's why we give it as a simply supported beam. So as a structural engineer, you can choose how you want it to behave actually. So we give the only shear connection here and simply supported beam, and that is the most economical, and it's a composite deck actually. So this deck sheet is welded to this, and concrete also is connected to this beam by shear studs, you know, so that the compression is taken care by this concrete, and tension in the slab is taken by this. I have designed even a slab, deck slab without reinforcement actually. I just put the deck sheet and concrete with a fiber reinforcement. That is also possible. So these are all the structures. Here you can see a nice parallel parallel cord truss actually, beam action. So shear is taken by this bracing, and axial flexure is taken by the top cord and bottom cord. So these are all the different types of structures you can see in this. And this is another. So this is another hangar structure we designed on 13,000 feet above mean sea level. That means the temperature here will go below minus 30 degrees. You know? And we designed this with the doors of 30-meter width door actually. It will collapse automatically. So that kind of steel structure is also interesting. It's a 40 meters span where these defense helicopters will be maintained inside. So this project we have done, and this is the during construction, very interesting structure. And we designed heating inside, and a very interesting concept for me also. First time I learned recently, about 3-4 years back, is normally in the industrial buildings we put the skylight. You know, in defense buildings they don't want skylight because in the night time, when you have the light, people can see. Disadvantage of skylight, you know. So this is the first time we designed without skylight in the large steel structure. Very interesting. So many things we keep learning as we work. So you must only pray God to give you opportunity to work, then rest of the things, knowledge comes with it. So you only need to possess the intellect required for that. So this is the closed door, you know, I told you 30 meters automatic sliding door. This also we designed. Very interesting. And now these steel sections, I was explaining angles, T section, channel, I-beam, and double. These are built-up sections, you know. This is back-to-back or star angle, and we have double beam with built-up section plates, and we have double channel box section or batten section, and we have the circular or round hollow section, square or rectangular hollow sections. These are all the types of rolled sections we use in the design. And they're all the welding symbols. This is very interesting. This is the language of engineer detailing to the fabricator, ITI fitter. This is the language we use, you know. He doesn't know English, but if I just put this symbol, he will follow this. This is all available in IS code, and you can refer to that. This triangle stands for fillet, you know, triangular portion. We fillet the weld. And this double flag indicates you do the welding on both the sides. And here, this means actually wherever I have shown and where I have not shown also you have to do. And here also, I'm not able to detail weld on this other side. I'm not showing you, but do that weld on the other side also. So sorry. So this arrow indicates if you are showing the fillet on the side of the arrow, that means you do the welding only on the side of the arrow in the shop. This is the shop weld actually. And here it means I'm showing triangle on the other side also means you do the welding on the side I am not showing also. And this circle means all round weld wherever possible. Sorry. All round weld you do it, and this is 3/4 weld, and this is a groove weld. When you have a groove between two members, you do the groove weld. And this is a single side shop. This is a flag weld on the shop, and this is a dot is at the spot. Sorry. And this is a both sides weld. And this is the 3-side weld, and this is the flag and this side and shop. That is how. And all round weld and groove weld. Okay. So you must be very clear about this language. Here I have explained. You can, sorry. Oh yeah. So here, this is the whole symbol it stands for. You know, I have explained. Unfortunately, the resolution is not good enough in this. Probably PDF would have been better. But anyway, I will explain. So this is the shop. S indicates shop, and this is the. I'm not able to read. This is the arrow I told you. On the arrow, if you show the which side is this, and on the same side of arrow means you weld where I have shown only. If you put the detail here, you weld, and length of weld we indicate here, that is 100 mm or 200 mm, and this is the length of weld and field weld or all round weld. So this spot is field, that means on the field actually. So these are the details you can see, and of course this is all given in the code. I have just reproduced what is given in the code only. And so you can see this is the fillet weld. I'm showing you here, you will understand better. And this is 2 members you have to join. This is a square butt, and this is single V butt. You can understand from the figure. That's why figure speaks much more. And double V butt weld, and a single U butt weld, and it is a double U butt weld, and this is single bevel butt. That you can imagine the difference here and here. Okay, here you are welding 2 equal thickness, and here you are welding 2 different thickness. That's the difference. And here it is double bevel butt, It's all decided depending on the capacity required, the force that you have in the member. And this is a stud weld. This stud weld we use in this shear studs, I told you in the composite decks. So it is more zoom, and you can see this 45 degrees cut, and this double V weld, and this is a vertical joints, and this is the 8 mm and 10 mm. This is how we do it, and 12 mm and over we do like this. So this is a very interesting thing you must remember. And diameter, bolt diameters, and gross diameter of the hole. That means a 12 mm bolt, you have to have a hole of 13.5 mm. That 1.5 mm is the tolerance. And when you go to 20 mm, it is 22 mm, 2 mm tolerance. And for minimum edge distance also is given here. That is for the bolt hole to the edge of the member. If it is rolled edge and if it is sheared edge. Sheared edge means you cut the angle. So all this very important. So this is the chain bolting, and this is the diagonal bolting, and this is the slotted bolting. Where we use slotted bolting is when you cannot ensure the perfect bolting, like concrete to steel. I'll show you some of the photographs. And this is the base plate detail, very important. So this is the moment connection. As you can see, we have the 6 bolts here and 6 bolts here. So we transfer the moment of compression and tension here. Compression is transferred by bearing of the plate. You have that formula also for calculating the compressive stress. And this is called the grouting. These are all very important elements. Whatever I'm showing is the most important. You must remember. And if you have any doubt, you must ask. Okay. And this is the elevation of that column with the base plate, and this is the batten plate, and these are the stiffness. These are called stiffness plates. And this is the plan of the base plate, and these are the stiffness, as I said, and this is the batten plate. And you can see this is the 2 channels used as the column. This is the tubes, circular tubes. This is a bit distorted, but it's a circular tube, not elliptical. And 3 tubes are made as a column. And you can see stiffener plates, and this is called the pedestal. Why I'm showing is whenever you use a steel structure, normally foundation we do in concrete only. Though you have a grillage foundation and all, normally in practice we use the concrete structure. And the interface is anchor bolts and the base plate, and the transfer of the stress, compressive stress from the base plate steel to concrete is high strength grout. So otherwise you will have the stress concentration in concrete gets crushed. So it's very important. So this is why I'm showing here. You can see the base plate is first we cast this concrete without the base plate, but we put the template to keep these bolts in position, and we do the concreting. And after concrete sets, we bring this base plate assembly and put it on these bolts. This is the foundation layout normally for this, and then this is the detailing of just a bolt. Can you? I'm sure it takes ages for you to. I understood this about 20 years back only. And this is bearing anchor plate or the nut here. You can see the welding. How much detailing is there? And this is the bolt that is embedded in concrete. Here also it is embedded, but we give this sleeve, pipe sleeve. It is called pipe sleeve. And in the pipe sleeve, we provide because of the adjustment for the tolerance in the base plate. When you do the concreting, this bolt may be moved a bit here or there. So what we do is we put a pipe sleeve to this bolt, and this is the base plate actually. And this is the nut, and this is called check nut, and this is called leveling nut. So many things, you must know. And this is the flat washer. So you have to adjust the level with the grout. And this is the top of concrete, TOC means, and this is the grout, and we have the washer plate, base plate, nuts, check nuts, and the threaded portion. You must have 3 threads above this nut. That is the quality. And we fill grout this after erection is done. Till then, we use the wedges here. People do a lot of mistakes, and we end up in a lot of problems. That's why I'm showing this bolt detailing. You have the option of using anchor plate or J bolt. Both can anchor, that is for the uplift resistance. So these are the types of columns. batten plate and lacings. You study this in your steel structure, but this is the practical detail that we have used in some of the industrial structures. And this is the splice connection, very important. You must know that the splice, you will have the flange plate, web plate, and bolted web plate for the erection. And then we do the welding. After erection, alignment and all is done, we do the welding. And this is the splice plate web and splice plate flanges here. So this is the elevation and this is the plan. And for every steel structure, you must show this elevation, plan, and side cross section, you know. And this is the typical connection detail between the column and two beams. You can see this bearing cleat. This is called bearing cleat. And this is the flange plate. And this is the moment connection. This is called the moment plate. So if you don't have this moment plate, that means it is a shear connection. So it's very interesting. So here it is in plan. This is the column, and you have the two beams coming here, and you have this top plate, and these are the cleats for the shear. Cleats for the shear. I'll explain to you. And so this is if you have a laced column, how do you connect? That is always doubt. So you have a plate there, and you put a diaphragm plate across, and then, so this is the plan. You can see the section AA is here. So this plate will be acting as a diaphragm, you know, for the moment transfer. Whenever you have moment transfer, it will not be in plane necessarily. If it goes a little bit out of plane, you need this diaphragm action. So you cannot just put the plate in one plane and then connect these beams here. And this is more in detail, you can see. These are the web plates, stiffening plates, web stiffening plates, and these are the beams. And this is the column with a diaphragm plate and moment connection. And this is the cleat angles, and these are the shear connections, and this is the beam, and these are the columns. Column details, web plates, and these are the connection details. You know, this is the stiffener. Very many details will be there. I'll zoom it here. Unfortunately, this text, my people have just extracted the JPG from the AutoCAD. That's why text is not coming. If I save as a PDF, probably I could have shown you better. But anyway, time also is not enough. I'll run a bit fast. So you have this interesting structure, columns, and then beams. Sorry, where is the cursor? Okay. And this is the stepped beam, you can see here. And this is a beam connected with the end cleat and the moment plates. And this is the cross beam on the main beam. Here it is only a shear connection. Whenever you don't connect to the flange, if it is only to the web, you can see here, I don't know why my cursor is on. It is only showing here. You can choose. Okay, so here you can see the 50 mm cut in the web, and only through web it is connected to the web. This is the cross beam without movement connection, and these are all the details. And this is the floor beam with cross beams. You can see main beam and cross beams. You can see here. And this is also a movement connection. You can see here. And this is if you have a smaller beam connected, the deeper beam connected to smaller beam. So this is the detail. You can see we have put the cleat connecting the web. And these are the bracings. Though it's not a very good detail to my liking, I prefer without breaking the angle here. So it should be like this. That means here I don't want this angle to be broken, you know, this angle to be broken. That's why. And this is a K bracing. It is called star angle. You know, these are the two angles like this, star angle. And this is a gantry beam, crane girder, and you can see the lateral support here. And this is why we use channel in gantry is for the lateral thrust. You know, you need a movement resistance in the second plane. That's why we use a combination of beam and channel and a rail. And these are the trusses, very interesting. Were traditional trusses that were used nowadays. We hardly use these trusses, we use only the portals because erection and fabrication is simpler for the portals. And these are the typical details of the truss. These are the joint details. I don't know why it is. Yeah. These are all the detailed drawings of the trusses. And this is the general arrangement of the roof truss bottom chord plan. You see how many bracings are there. Nowadays, people are doing without this bracing and the structures are collapsing during erection itself because they are unstable without these bracings. They're also called the wind bracings. And this is the sag rods in the rafter plane actually. These are called rafter bracings and they have the purlins and sag rods. Any doubt?
இதுல ரெண்டு ஆப்ஷன் பண்ணுவோம். என்னன்னா
Pardon?
ஸ்டார் லிஃப்ட் இங்க இருந்து 20 feet தள்ளி இங்க பிளேஸ் பண்ணனும். அது ஒரு ஆப்ஷன். இன்னொரு ஆப்ஷன்
Excuse me.
Someone was talking in between.
Oh,
In
Sir, actually, that
frame, I think. Frame, no?
frames
Like- Okay.
yeah, you can mute him if he's not part of this meeting.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the closer view of the general arrangement of the what you call purlins and sag rods. Why we provide sag rods is to reduce the secondary movement in the bracing, because the purlin is always in the inclined plane. You will have the secondary movement. One is the vertical and one is the horizontal component. So horizontal component is taken by reducing, because the secondary movement resistance of the channel is less. We stiffen by providing these sag rods. So these are the different types of sag rods. You can see these two purlins and sag rod. And this is the gable end detailing. We put the cladding at the gable end and we provide the runners and girts for supporting the sheeting. And this is the gable end typical detail. So this is the channel. Unfortunately, my cursor I'm not able to show. I hope you'll be able to make out. I'm probably not prepared well. And this is the corner column, most complex detail. You have the two planes meeting here at the gable end and the long side. So this is the detail of the cladding runners or girts joining at the corner. These are all very intricate. Probably many people don't like to even share. They think it is their what you call intellectual property, but I feel it's engineering. Everybody can do it if you spend a little bit time. Better we save that and invent better things than doing the run-of-the-mill type. So here it is the lowers. Every industry will have the lowers. So I'm showing you the details of lower runners. And so here you can see the lower detail, cross section of the lower. So much of engineering we did. So these are all the things. And openings. If you have a window opening in a factory with what you call the cladding, how to detail. We did all this even before pre-engineered buildings came. In pre-engineered buildings, all this is taken care by the vendor. Of course, if you have to work for the vendor, you should be able. So we developed these details of flashings and fascia, and mainly flashings are important to prevent water ingress into the building when you have the opening window, and its interface with the cladding. That's very important. So these are all the details of those windows and claddings and downtake pipe. You can see here gutter, the rainwater collection, gutter, and then downtake. These are all the detailing. You can see I have given all the details very clearly. Here the gutter, downtake, and the bill of material. These are all very important. Sorry. So this is the notes in a structural steel detailing drawing. Notes are very important. We must define all these details in the notes, like bolts, what type of bolts, grade of bolt. We have 5.6 grade bolts, 8.6 grade bolt. And for normal bolts, we can use 5.6. And welding procedures as per IS 816. And electrodes should be as per IS 814. And butt weld and steel grade 2062 for high grade of steel. And so these are all the notes and tolerances, type of symbols that we use for the bolts, 12 dia, 16 dia, 20 dia. You can see the note number 16. And the size and shape of the gusset, and all holes should be 17.5 unless otherwise mentioned. And DFT, 2 coats of zinc phosphate in phenolic alkyd medium is 40 microns coat. This is called cold galvanizing. 2 coats of synthetic enamel paint. So we are specifying, because painting is very important to prevent corrosion, as I said. And these are the notations or abbreviations that we use. FGL is finished ground level, NGL is natural ground level, bottom of steel, top of base plate, top of steel. All these notations we use and we define in the notes so that people will understand our language. So now you can see this base plate, how bad. I'll be showing some of the photographs, bad photographs. You should not do like that. Because when I go to the site, if it is wrong, I take a picture. And I want to show you what not to do also, not only what to do. So this is the pre-engineered steel structure. You can see the base is hinged here and top is fixed. And this is the complete pre-engineered structure with roof sheet, skylight, gutter, and side cladding with sliding doors open, and gutter and fascia and downtakes behind. And these are the cold form, cold rolled purlins of jet purlin, C purlin, they are called, and you can see. And these are the rectangular hollow sections used for fabrication of a truss. We use this RHS where we predict some torsion in the structure. Because of this curved shape, we have used the hollow sections because if it is open section, it will not be good in torsion. You can see this is the curved trusses. And pipes also we have used, you can see the complicated 3D joint, how we have detailed, and there are no gaps. And you have to develop that profile cut, one circular surface and another circle joining. And that is the development of surfaces we study in the geometrical drawing. And this is another profile cut of steel joints, you can see. And this is the base plate, gusset plate. And this is what I said, interface between concrete and steel. So here I can't give accurate position of the bolt because the bolt position is dictated by the reinforcement in the concrete column. So that's why we allow the slotted holes. And after that, we pack it with the packing plate. And these are the members before erection. You can see the end flange with the bolt holes for erection. And this is the welded joint for the truss, a closer view. And this is the truss connected to the concrete frame. And truss sitting on the concrete column. And this is the curve. And we used both square hollow and pipe sections. And this is the erection. You can see the derrick pole and chain pulley arrangement here for lifting the trusses and all. So these are the roof sheeting, profiled sheet it is called. Normally zinc-alum, zinc and aluminum alloy is the material that we use because we have seen olden days asbestos sheets. They are very bad because asbestos fiber can cause cancer, continuous exposure to asbestos fiber. And then GA sheets, we see a lot of corrosion happening in the GA sheets. So finally, now the current trend is using these zinc-alum sheets. And this is the truss sitting on the columns. And this is the space truss sitting on the column. And this is the after painting. And this is the after. And another industrial shed. We have done this column beam junction. And this is the detailing of the columns and beams. And column fabrication drawing. And this is the base plate, welding details. And this is another interesting shed we did in Vizag with a profile sheet like a shell roof, you know. There is no purlin, there is no rafter. It is directly the sheet itself will sit like a shell. And this is another power plant we did in Gujarat. This is the roof truss like portal truss. Lot of industry, and this is the gantry girder in lacing actually, latticed gantry girder and laced column. And this is before fabrication. This is how the cut lengths come, the beams. And this is how we have to stack them properly before fabrication. And this is another interesting FFE mineral we did in Orissa for aluminum ore processing. The 47-meter span portal with a 3D latticed truss, purlin actually, latticed purlin. Very interesting structure. In fact, this is the transfer houses. You know, when you have these conveyors taking the ore, so you need the transfer house because conveyor cannot travel 10 kilometers like that. So we'll be having the transfer house, one conveyor to another conveyor transferred, and finally it comes to this ore stacking area. And this is the conveyor gallery actually. All this we had the opportunity to work. And this is chimney detailing. And this is the photograph sent by the client saying he liked this picture long back, of course. And you can see normally we give the truss latticed and purlin's box section. Here we have given reverse. Truss we have given box and purlin is very economical. And the top box is a conveyor gallery. So iron ore will come and the shape of the truss we have given to maintain the shape of this. Another steel factory building. So these are all the detailing and this is the photograph of the factory. And skylight, you can see this is the daylight without lighting. So such is how we design the lighting also. And these are another multi-story building for EDRC, you know, Amazon type of structure, where we store the logistics actually, materials and all that. So this is the photographs to completion. And this is another interesting project we did, 20-meter high with 10-meter floor height. And we have used the composite deck 20 years back. This one is done 20 years back and still performing in the coastal area of Chirala. And this is a cross section of this beam, and we have used all the moment connections without bracings actually. And here you can see the gable end, 67-meter wide gable end, we have and 20-meter high. And this is the plan of the building with 6 staircases. The staircase detailing, and this is the glazing detailing for the staircase for lighting into the factory. And this is the flooring detailing, and this is the conveyors, and this is the structure. You can see the closer view of the structure. And this is the conveyor getting the material into the industrial warehouse. And this is another Kirby 3-unit building we have designed, and you can see the photograph. This is what I was telling, 360-meter long building with accurate alignment, erection, and quality actually. So this is another edible oil refinery we did in Kakinada, coastal area. And these are the trusses we used in another palm oil mill, and detailing traditional trusses and laced columns detailing we have done. And this is another palm oil mill, general arrangement drawing, columns detailing, and canopy structure, staircase detailing. And this is the photograph after completion. Very interesting. And this is the oil tank, oil farm it is called. So this is another interesting structure where we transfer the load by hook tension, not by bearing actually. So membrane action and all. This is another Schneider electric assembly building we did long back. And so this is the internal photograph of the skylight strips. So this is the skylight, you can see strip skylight and 45-meter long sheet without joint we have used. And this is another special structures we did, the skylight for the art gallery inverted cone. And we have done this closer view of this. And then stadiums, Games Village, National Games Village in Hyderabad, we did this trusses detailing and all. And this is another industrial steel 3-unit building company. We did it some 15 years back. And this is another steel fabrication rolling mill also we did. And this is all not 3-unit building, but we have done complete the engineering. Conventional members. And this is a sports pavilion. We did it 11.5 meter span. So you can see the cable stayed roof. And this is another dome sitting on 4 building with the bearings allowing the base movement. And this is the view of the dome income tax towers in Hyderabad. And this is another distillery project we did. And this is the roof truss. So now, interesting part, as I said, is towers, transmission towers, microwave towers, and microwave poles. So this is the stub detailing, we erect the towers and stub template arrangement and all that. So this is the different types of stuff. I'm not going into details of this because this itself is a specialized subject, but I'm showing you the extent of detailing that is required even for such simply looking towers and the base plate arrangement and all. So this is the complexity of the tower, 400 kV suspension tower. And this is the detailing of one panel, how much it will be going. So these are all the detailed drawings of these towers. This is called cross arms, and this is the angle tower cross arms. And these are the peak. It is called ground wire supporting peak, and triangular towers. We did different types of towers, and these are the joint details. And this is the switchyard or substation structures, gantry structures we have. Insulator structures, CT structures, and lightning arrestor, post insulators, and potential transformer, wave track. All these structures are detailed, and very important to master in this detailing because the well detailed structure only can be erected. You can imagine if I told you we have done about 2.5 lakh towers, means about 2.5 million tons of steel only in towers. And we did another 2.5 million tons of steel in other structures, buildings and industries. So that is the opportunity. You have every year 90 million tons of steel is produced in India. So imagine the opportunity you have in steel. But I always say that don't constrain yourself in career to one of the steel or concrete only. You have to be an engineer means we should have the knowledge of all types of structures, all types of engineering, erection, fabrication, quality, and you can see the shop details. And you can see the beveled cut. BC is beveled cut, and so you can see how a beveled cut looks. And here cut flange. This is the detail. And here you can see the cut toe. And so very intricate points are there in the shop drawings. So we just write this and send it. They will fabricate, and when they erect, it has to CO, cut corner cut. That is 45 degrees. And so this is the BC and CO both together. And this is the cut flange and CO. And this is the bent member. So these are the whole detailing for the cleat, and this is the bent plate, and these are the towers, transmission tower, A-type tower, suspension tower it is called. You see these pictures when you travel, and we design all this kind of towers and road crossing, river crossing, and hill crossing, and tubular microwave towers, which we see almost in all the states across the country, including Northeast. We designed these towers and these antennas. If we are using the phone today, cell phone means these are the towers behind. So this is my talk about this steel structures detailing and the erection, fabrication, and quality. And now I'm open to questions. If you have any questions, you can do it. How do we close this? Yeah. I hope you could, I'm clear enough for you to follow what I'm talking. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask me. We have 20 minutes time.
Yeah, we can ask questions.
I'm not able to hear anything.
Students, if you have any queries, you can ask.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, please tell your name.
Sir, myself Mokesh Prabhu.
Oh.
First year SCE, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you explain me about some difficulties you faced while combining concrete and steel structures because they have different type of expansion, etc.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, in fact, steel structures, we have less of expansion joint issues because of the flexibility in the steel, the tolerance that we have in the bolted connections. The joints, they themselves will accommodate the movement in the steel structure due to the temperature. As you rightly raised the point, the concrete and steel interface, there also we have the bolts, and I have shown you the base plate, the plate connecting to the structure. There also we have the bolt and some grouting arrangement. The main challenge between concrete and steel interface is the tolerance. In steel, we have less tolerance, 1.5 mm, whereas in concrete, you have 5 mm tolerance. So that is the issue actually, which you have to keep in mind, whether it is detailing of the base plate where we give 50 mm grouting, or the detailing of the plate which is sitting on the top of the column or on the side of the column. So that is the big challenge, and that's why we give 25 mm tolerance in the length of the truss, and we give that 25 mm gap and pack it with the material. That's a good question, Prabhu. Any other questions? Some people have raised the hand.
You can unmute and ask question.
Hello, sir. This is Joe. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, please be louder.
Yeah. Sir, I had one or two doubts, and one is basically part of design, and other are management-related issues. So, you said about designing a hangar in some extreme condition, where the temperature was around -30. So, how do we take special cares in those extreme conditions, not just when it is low, also in high temperature conditions? What are the special considerations that we have to consider for designing?
Yeah, that's again a good question. But fortunately, the steel material that we have is good enough for up to this -30 degrees temperature. And the tolerance, the temperature variation, the -30 degrees to 20 degrees, that is the highest temperature is 20 degrees in that location. So the total temperature variation is 50 degrees. But we normally erect the structure when the temperature is 10 degrees like that. We will not erect when it is minus, fabricate and erect. So we have to account for the contraction, not expansion. Contraction of 40 degrees actually, from 10 degrees to -30. And expansion is 10 degrees, which is not very significant actually. So contraction structure is the biggest challenge in this. That means it will induce the forces on the columns by contraction. The truss, 40-meter truss, it will contract for -40 degrees. So that is the challenge for which we give the required allowance movement in the structure, and then reduce the secondary effects on the columns and the structural frame. That's a good question, George.
Thank you, sir. So one more question I have. It is related to somewhat construction management. Yeah. So I wanted to know what are the common mistakes that happens to workers in this structural steel area. We know how mistakes happen in the area of concrete, but what are the common mistakes that people make when they are dealing with the structural steel and its construction?
First is the the straightening of the members. Many people miss actually. They assume that the members have come from the factory, so they'll be straight. No. So straightening is the first step of any steel member commencing the fabrication actually. So if you are not doing in a workshop, very well managed workshop, this item will be missed. And another is the back marks, the marking of the structure in the erection mainly. I've come across one side. Normally, we insist on steel structures using the template for maintaining the dimensions and level. But people do it just by marking using the total station or theodolite. And that's not correct, actually. You must use the template. This is a common mistake people do, whether it is for the base plate or positioning of the anchors or maintaining the verticality of the anchors. All the details that I've shown, you must follow those things. And before commencing the erection, there should be acceptance verification of the four side dimensions, diagonals, level, and slope perfectly. Vertical means vertical, inclined means inclined. Whatever is specified, we must maintain those checks. That's why the quality control is a very important thing, and quality assurance plan one must follow. I hope I clarified. Do you have any other missing things? So in steel, when you talk about construction, planning, fabrication, transportation, this is another important thing. Packing of the steel members before transporting. Many people don't do it, and they'll also dump these members on without packing. So they will be bent, and you can't erect them properly, and then they will start using the brutal force. So packing list is very important in steel. And transportation plan also is very important. Handling after receiving at the site and all. Did I miss anything?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, ma'am.
What about that aluminum frame structures, sir? Will it be different from steel structures?
Nowadays aluminum structures we are using for the cladding, and we are using for the form work now. Aluminum form. So aluminum framed structures also is same as steel, except for its lighter weight, because its advantages we are using in the facade and these form works actually. But otherwise, structures very rarely we use aluminum. But wherever, like you have an existing building, on top of the building you want to build a room, there you can advantageously use aluminum because of its lesser weight and also less corrosion characteristics. But I have come across very less using aluminum.
Okay, sir.
Any other question? I'm surprised many students are not asking any questions.
Yes, sir.
I want to tell you
Hello,
about
sir.
my experience. Yeah.
Sir, I'm Harishankar.
Harishankar. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Sir, we have seen many cases of industrial buildings, but is it but in other countries also steel structures are used for multi-family housing buildings also, no, sir? But
We have done in India also.
but what about, sir? How will be the slabs, and is it possible we need to we need to go for slabs, prefabricated slabs, or how it will be, sir?
In Hyderabad, there is a project of 5 million square feet happening, in which structure is in steel and slabs are in precast hollow core. And other option is we can use the slab with composite deck, steel deck and concrete. And already multi-family housing in Jammu and Kashmir, we did one project of 12-storied building with light gauge steel panels and structural steel with composite deck slab. So it's already done. In Jindal Steel also in Chhattisgarh, they have done housing colony with light gauge steel sections, multi-family housing quarters. Only thing challenge in India is people's acceptance. They come with preconceived notions. Steel means it will move like that, they think. But there are many multi-family housing projects done in steel. But office, I can tell you in Hyderabad alone, right now, there are 6 million square feet or 10 million square feet office buildings happening in steel. In Bangalore also it is constructed. And Ahmedabad I have seen 20 years back also, which have withstood the earthquake very well because of the steel structure, you know. So it's very advantageous except for the 3 challenges I said. The secondary effects, the buckling factor, the fire and the corrosion. These are the things we have to take care. Otherwise, it's very advantageous. Time and time management is very better in steel structure.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Clear, Harish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Only 3 people out of 80.
Yeah, Anand. Adarsh. Vasant Kumar.
Sir, one more doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, while designing the steel beams and all, we always consider only lateral torsion buckling only, you know, sir. But while after the erection and all, there is a chance of any other torsion also, no, sir. So how we will consider all these while in the designing stage?
Actually, we handle torsion in the structure in a overall structural system itself. Like in steel structures particularly, when we go for high-rise buildings, that is, I'll tell you 2 categories. One is high-rise building where I give a shear shaft. We have a shear wall system with a diaphragm that will take care of the overall torsion in the structure, and then steel frame will transfer the vertical loads. So that is the one. So steel structures, it is better not to expose them to the torsion. That's how we design actually. We convert into pure shear and pure bending only. Wherever we have unavoidable torsion, we will try to handle it by providing the bracings and converting into axial force. So that's how we do it. So steel structures are better not exposed to torsion.
Thank you, sir.
In fact, whenever I used to attend a class, I used to ask my doubts before my professor starts the class, you know. I will not allow him to complete the class also. And I am surprised, even after so much of information, you don't have any doubts. So that's good. I want to ask you one question, all of you. How many of you read newspapers? Is there any polling method, madam?
You can ask. Sir,
So,
no.
No poll, huh? Okay. You can raise the hand. How many of you use the raise hand option? Good. So only 3 of you. Kiran Raj, good, growing. I always say that there are only 3 plus 3, 8 people reading newspaper every day. Correct? But I always say that for civil engineers, reading newspaper is very important, number 1. Number 2 is, how many of you have undergone internship training? Again, you can raise the hand. Internship.
Sir, actually for our MTech students, it is mandatory.
Pardon?
So our MTech students are going, sir, usually.
Oh, okay. Not
And then
BTech.
final year BTech, if they get opportunity, they will also go.
Everybody has the opportunity, I would say. That's why I asked this question.
Okay, sir. Okay.
I keep doing internship always. So That is, when I travel also, anywhere, I keep observing, making notes of my observation. I designed runway when I have not designed any runway before. But I used to observe when I'm traveling by flight, these runways, curves and all that lighting, all that. And I become an expert by observation. So I always say that any civil engineer, I'm sure all of you, wherever you are living, must be seeing some construction site near to your place. India is a growing country, so you will see a lot of construction happening around your house, is it not? So any civil engineer should keep observing things happening around. This is my second suggestion, so that you'll be able to face any interview questions. You should question the sites before you go for interview, so that you acquire the answers before even going for the interview. That is about internship. Next is, how many of you have attendance more than 90%? Can you raise the hands in your class, academics? That's good. I am happy at least you have the attendance good. I feel that we should have 100% attendance. That's good. Thank you. Almost 25% of you have, but I feel every civil engineer should have 100% attendance. My next question is, how many of you have academic score more than 90%? Cumulative as on date. If you are in the final year, cumulative 10 people, 9 falling. Okay, 9 people, 10 people have 90%. That is about 10%. Okay. And my another question, important, fifth question is, how many of you play some sport every day? Any sport, or at least jogging, or volleyball, football, cricket, lawn tennis, basketball, badminton, anything, at least 1 hour a day. Oh, that's good. This also I am happy to note, because civil engineers need to be physically fit. You know, that's a very important thing. So that's why if you are not asking questions, I am asking you questions. So anyway, that's good to understand about you. It's like a blindfold for me. I'm not seeing any of you, but probably we can take a group photo, or if it is possible, madam can do it. And then my time is off now. I thought 1.5 hours. I thank Amrita University for giving me this opportunity, and it's a great memory during this pandemic time. And I want to share with you, this is the 34 years anniversary of graduation for me. And so that's why madam, when asked, when she gave a date of 6th, I happily accepted, because I'm at home in isolation. I thought I can celebrate my anniversary with all these future engineers who can remember this another 30-40 years, you know, this experience, if you liked, or you may forget if you don't like it. But for me, it's a lifetime experience, and the toughest of the times, and sharing my knowledge of 34 years experience with all of you. So thank you very much for staying with me and listening to all that I shared. And I thank Purnima madam for remembering me even after 1.5 years. Last year I was in your campus in some precast workshop. That also was a good memory for me. And thank Dr. Mini madam for hosting this event. And it's a good memory to remember and cherish for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. So definitely our students, it's their nature, they won't open up much, but definitely they will work on that, and they'll get back.
I want to tell all of you, please like our Facebook page, Smart Infrest. It is a trust actually. You can keep interacting with me, and whoever is interested to discuss anytime, you can post your queries in the messenger, and I only handle that page, and I keep replying. Any doubts about career, any doubts technically, we'll try to help you. The trust is founded 5 years back exactly on September 10th, and idea is to help engineers become better engineers, and help engineers employable, and help engineers in employment. So this is the objective. So please like our page.
So that's great, sir. It's Smart Trust.
Smart Infrest. Smart Infrest. It's a tough word. I don't know. I coined it. It is smart cities. It started with smart cities idea, and smart infrastructure, engineering services trust. And I keep interacting with a lot of students. I'm connected with at least 25,000 students across country. And I keep providing internships, online internships, and also employment opportunities also. We help them, and we conduct trainings online it's not a profit, it's a trust actually. So it is a non-profit organization founded by me. So I thought I'm benefited by one senior engineer who counseled me for my career. So I thought I must give it back to the society. And I keep counseling a lot of civil engineers every day, every month actually. So you can also join that trust through just liking the page and interact with us.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, before you leave, I think I'm holding you up, but like the subject is vast, sir. Like you said, there are so much things, and actually, we are all overwhelmed actually on what you said. The thing is that like students in our caliber, like in fourth year, they look for internships, right? So we don't know what the company expects of us, sir. The first thing, like when we go, like I have gone to, like to 2 to 3 internships, sir. In most of the cases, like they don't expect anything of us. They don't expect anything.
Unfortunate. Yeah.
Actually, so first I was very like happy to like get an internship and go and work there, but having like this few scenarios, like it is just simply a waste, sir. So like what did you do like to like help your trainees?
I'll give you the case examples in Hyderabad. Even NIT Trichy students come and join our internship programs every year. NIT Trichy actually. So even from Bangalore, from Chennai, people come and join our internship. How we conduct is mass, like last year we did 350 students. This year also we started off with 300 students, but unfortunately because of pandemic we had to call off and we conducted online. Online we trained 300 students this year also. And the feedback is excellent actually. They want us to conduct the second batch, but because of this our work and all, we could not continue. But definitely, last year what we did is we trained 170 government engineers in a housing project, and then we assigned 350 students to these 170 engineers. Because the point you raised is right. The trainer doesn't know what to train actually. That is an unfortunate scenario in civil engineering. That is why the purpose of our trust actually, we design the internship programs on the different areas like roads, buildings, housing, all this, and quality, all these aspects. And we assign the work module to the trainers. We train the trainers first and then assign the students to them, so that there will be a meaningful interaction. You can see our Facebook page. All the information I'm telling is available in our Facebook page, Smart Infrest. So I'll probably, I can put in the message box.
Yes, sir. There's a chat section.
Chat?
Yeah.
Where is the chat box?
It's near to the 3 dots.
3 dots. Oh, okay. More actions.
Near to that flow conversation.
Pardon, madam?
Near to that 3 dots. There is one.
Near to 3 dots. More action, meeting details, device setting, gallery, apply background, turn on live captions. Turn on live captions. Okay.
Actually, it is not showing, ma'am, for us.
Oh, okay.
For me, probably there is no permission.
Okay.
Or I'll
You can share the screen, sir, if you have any.
This is my contact. You can see my screen now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll type insert text. This is the Facebook page name, Smart Infresh. So you can see. So, very So this is the Smart Infresh. So you can like our Facebook page. Otherwise, I think I have my Facebook page. I'm connected already. Okay. You can see the screen, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is the Smart Infresh page. Yeah, this is our page.
First, you have to stop that PPT, sir.
Oh, previous one I have to stop.
Yeah, you have to stop.
And again,
somebody has shared the link in the conversation box, so I think others can access it through it.
Now you can see?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So this is the Smart Infresh page. So all my lectures are available in this page actually. And today also one lecture we have arranged online. So if you see this page, you can join this kind of lectures. This is by L&T Metro Rail MD. Today talk is going on in association with another organization. So all these lectures we arrange online and and my lectures also will be available. So this is helpful to the student, and a lot of live lectures we share here. And, so you can, and also my YouTube channel, in my name is there, Ponnada Surya Prakash. So in that channel, all the videos are available, my lectures. And, I just want to show you the internship post actually. How did we have to search it? Oh, sorry. I have to see my post. Yeah. So here you can see, this is the post actually of my team, internship team. Yeah. This is the students at the site, project site. We have done the housing project, which they have done the audit of each flat with the checklist formats given snag list. So this is the students who have done. So many people come to us. So how do I more posts like this? So you can see my page. This is the Smart Infresh page, and you all can connect with us. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Thank you.
Yeah.
You said about online training, no?
Yeah.
So recently, you are going to conduct any program, sir?
Yeah.
Online training
We'll
program for the
announce.
students.
We'll announce probably once this examination period.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So thank you very much. I think is somewhat helpful to the students, and look forward to connect with you.
Definitely, we'll keep in
Yes,
touch with you, sir, because we want to have more experience and exposure from you. Your support is required.
Oh,
So
sure.
definitely. Okay.
And I visited your campus. It's one of the best campuses.
Yes, sir.
I go many campuses across the country, and
Okay.
yours is one I remember still.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's correct. Yes, a beautiful green campus.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Take care of your health. Thanks
Okay,
for.
bye.
we are very glad.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
We are
sure.
very grateful to have such an informative session, sir. We really
Yeah.
thank you, and take care of your health, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, bye.
I can leave, madam?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I think
Purnima, ma'am.
yes.
It was very good. Maybe we can take up that online training. Okay. I saw
Yes.
Prem sir in between, and he can take his.
Actually, he joined initially at 2 o'clock. It's
Join. Yeah. Just now I
yeah.
saw.
That's why
He left.
okay, ma'am.
Okay. So this maybe we will try to arrange for our students the training what they are planning it.
Yeah, ma'am. So I used to get notification from sir, ma'am. I mean one his WhatsApp group, that Smart Infrastructure Engineering Services.
Okay.
So that's why I asked ma'am that when they are going to conduct that online training program.
Okay. Maybe the students you also can try. Okay. So all this
He's very helpful, ma'am. So whatever, even students can message Surya Prakash.
Yeah.
So in the recorded video also, that number was
I
and the mail ID also there. So students also